Welcome to my presentation on the right to be forgotten, a law passed a couple years ago in the EU that gives citizens the right to have their search results removed from Google. So what happened? On 13 May 2014, the European Union ruled that individuals have the right to be forgotten. Embarrassing and irrelevant information that they select from Google should be removed from search results if requested. However, that information must not be part of the public interest, and the pages themselves that are linked to are not deleted. So what does this actually mean? Well, Google will remove the offending page from their search results that comply with the law as much as is needed. You can request other search companies, but Google has over 95% of all searching in the European Union, so it wouldn't really mean anything if you did. Google has produced a form that you can use to request that your results be removed from their search results or your links. And they've until the article that I read, and I've read other more recent articles, they've had 90,000 cases reviewed, and around half of them have been approved and removed from the search results. So essentially, Google is censoring or filtering their results based off of this European Union law that was passed in May of 2014. Now, the government doesn't review the case. Google themselves actually reviews the case on whether or not your search results are in the public interest or not. So if, say, like a politician goes in and tries to remove information about a law that he voted for last year so he can vote differently this year and not have it look bad, that likely would not be in the public interest. But if Joe Schmuckatelli has, some debts that were paid from 95 and no one cares about it anymore and never even went to a collection agency, it's not in his credit report, then Google will probably remove those from their search results. Again, the page itself is still there, and it's very difficult to get the page down, but at least it is more difficult to find because people can't use Google to find it. Another thing is that Google will only remove the page from the search results if you include someone's name in the search. Okay? So if I search Joe Schmuckatelli debt from 93, it won't show up. If I search people with debt from 93 and describe Joe Schmuckatelli a little more without his name, it can still show up. And if the search results are being filtered, Google will put a notice underneath the search bar saying that, hey, these aren't actually the full results, but they won't link to the other pages. The pros of this law are that they ensure a certain type of individual freedom because of the privacy that they enforce. Now, people have been saying, hey, not everything is on the internet, and people shouldn't rely on the internet to have everything. This is the most interesting argument, I think. And so by censoring the results, people will be more likely to be open to the fact that they might not find all the information on the internet. As opposed to right now, at least in the US, if you're going to look for something, it's generally considered to be definitely on the internet. And if it's not on the internet, people will just give up on looking for it because so much is actually up there. So that's kind of an interesting pro. Another pro here is that citizens aren't beleaguered by their past. So if you have this embarrassing picture of yourself that keeps showing up in Google results, but hey, that's not even me anymore. I've changed, a better person. Maybe you've been sober for 10 years, but 11 years ago you were a crazy person, and you have some pictures that show that. You don't want people to get the wrong image of you because of those pictures. So that kind of thing, removing that from search results, okay, that makes sense. That's definitely a pro. Allows you to move forward and get over embarrassing moments in your past. And finally, one of the pros that I can think of, it's pretty important, is that it's really like less discrimination. Let's say your boss, like if you have like, and this is discrimination that's like, this is the bad type of discrimination. So less of that is good, right? But it's like if you are applying for a job and the employer or future employer is, searching your name on the internet, which most of them do, as a background check to look for any problems that might not mesh with their agency, and they see this drunken picture from 10 years ago, and they're really big against having alcohol in the office. Like, they really don't like partying. They like a stable atmosphere, a lot of families, and coming in to check out the work. Maybe it's even maybe you're applying to be a teacher, and this picture comes up. Even though you've been sober for 10 years, which is a long time, they can discriminate against you. So this is good to kind of give you an opportunity to get over that past, and have less discrimination in jobs where that would be a problem. On to the cons. Okay, there's a lot of cons here. One thing that I heard in an article was that it's just a stupid law. It doesn't make any sense. The page itself is still up there. You're not actually removing anything from the internet. You're just changing the search results, and that's a type of censorship, anyways. And you're infringing on a company's right to do free business, and it's just stupid. Like, who thought of this, right? So that's one of the cons. It's not really a con, just a comment, but I think that it kind of sums it all up for me as it's just a dumb law. Okay. Also, you can't hide from the internet. It's just not possible. If you put something up there, it stays up there. If somebody else puts something up there about you, it stays up there. There's not one copy. There's billions of copies. And you just have to buck up and move on. Take it like a man. So that's just the way it is. And this law is, that's another reason it's just stupid. Like they think you can hide, but it's not possible. So the EU has an antiquated model. So their businesses really don't innovate a lot in recent days, at least. And this is really because of their, I heard that just really poor labor laws that are from, just from long ago. And this antiquated model, they just need some new thinkers in their system. Now, it would be better if we embraced the fact that you really can fail and move forward with embarrassing links around, right? That's a good form, just accepting who you were and moving on, and that's a good attitude to have. And leaving this links up there can help people enforce that attitude instead of being embarrassed by their past. They really shouldn't, because that's still who they were. Now, another con is this is incredibly expensive for Google, and they're getting nothing out of it. In fact, they are losing business because of it. I mean, why would you search on Google if you know your results are getting filtered by the government when there are so many other resources out there that you could use? So this just sucks for Google, and they shouldn't be required to do something like this. And also, some people will request these cases be taken down. Google decides, okay, but we can't because they're in the public interest. And then those people make a big stink about it, and their cases become even more widely known. When if they just left it to be, it wouldn't have been a problem. So, I mean, like, that's just stupid. I just keep thinking this quote. It's a great quote. So people, why are you doing that? Anyways, let's move on. Okay, is this even practical? Not really. The internet's huge. So let's just get that out of the way. And whenever you try and delete anything, it doesn't actually get deleted because every company out there worth its salt has redundancy across continents and things like that, so that load times are faster. Who knows who's downloaded your page? If it was ever public, ever, someone's probably copied it onto their machine by accident. It's cached in a browser somewhere. You just can't ever get rid of stuff. Search results may be removed, but privacy is not technically ensured. So like, it's just poor thinking on their part. And then another thing that I may not have mentioned before is just the internet's just really big. Like, it's huge. Like, it's incredibly, monstrously, amazingly just huge beyond even thinking. Imagine every computer in the world connected. Are you really imagining that? It's insanely huge. And it's more complex than you can even possibly think about. I can think about like a spider web. But imagine, because in a spider web, every node is only connected to the 3 nodes around it, or the 4 nodes around it. So, like, imagine a spider web in every dimension, and it's all one big web, where every node is linked to every other node. Now try and understand that completely, right? That's a spider web. Maybe it has 100 nodes in it. Okay, you remember that thing earlier where I mentioned once or twice that the internet's pretty big? Well, imagine that spider web, but freaking huge. I can't even imagine a spider web with 5 nodes that are all completely connected to each other. It's not even a spider web anymore, honestly. It's just this ball of, this like ball of yarn. You can't even understand it. It's just not possible. So is this practical? Not in the least. And what were they possibly thinking? I don't know. And I mentioned this before, but the EU is just stuck in the past with their laws, specifically with this one, but also with labor laws and other company. They don't have any innovation, and they should have realized that it's just not practical because of the massiveness and complexity of the internet. Their systems need to be revamped, and they need huge changes to account for the innovations of the new millennium, the internet, the industrial revolution, things like that. So what was Google's reaction? Well, Google fought the case all the way through the court system, as they should, because it's ridiculous. And then they lost because Europe ruled in the opposite direction. And because of that, Google, they complied. They had laws. They had to follow the laws. They put up a form, and the form received 12,000 requests in 2 days. This is an amazing number of people that wanted things removed from Google search results. Google themselves has a staff member that reviews each case and decides the relevancy to the public interest. And to date, around 58% are accepted and removed from search results. Although with the caveat that Google, it's only if you search with that person's name, and if search results are filtered, Google will put a note up top. So you'll know. Okay, so what was Wikimedia's reaction? Well, whenever Google removes a link, Wikimedia reposts that link. It's just this kind of cat and mouse game where they're playing with the British government and saying, hey, you can't do this. They have honorable intentions because, hell, they don't make any money off this stuff. They just gain a little publicity. And everybody knows about Wikipedia anyways, so it's not necessary publicity. They are trying to keep the internet free. They are trying to keep it this malleable, amorphous, just kind of beautiful, anything you want it to be, instead of the, chopped and blocked, square cut corners that the European Union wishes it were, although it never could be. They want to ensure the freedom of speech, and they don't like censorship. Clearly, Wikimedia is all about sharing knowledge, and so this makes a lot of sense, right? So the European Union has attempted to expand the ruling a couple times. They request that Google filter search results on all their top-level domains, specifically .com, which is pretty dumb because the EU doesn't have jurisdiction over that content because it's registered in other countries. Those domains are for The .com is specifically a commercial US. They're filtering .co.uk, but Google. Any other country is it is not filtered, and EU residents can simply go to google.com instead of google.co.uk and get the normal results. So again, just a dumb ruling. Um, so the only thing they can do if they actually wanted to do this, maybe they want to pass a ruling where it's like, okay, well, citizens should only be allowed to go to .com or to .co.uk to domains, and that would fix the issue because then no one would go to google.com. They could just filter their they could put security measures in, but this is hugely illegal, right? This is censorship on a grand scale. China's doing it. You can't get to Google in China, and so if this is the only way around what they're actually trying to do, well, isn't that make the whole law illegal? Like, if you're going to censor everything and that's illegal, why is censoring something smaller illegal? It doesn't make any sense. The whole law is not just stupid, now it's also illegal. So that's not okay. As a citizen of the U.S., I'm not worried. The U.S. has long established freedom of speech, and we fight for our rights to it. Very few citizens would support any sort of law like that. It didn't make any sense. Like, the EU has laws that don't reflect the modern times, but the U.S. does. We have incredible innovation. We have incredible freedom for companies to move around and do what they need. We also have a lot of tech companies that would just hate this law if it ever came through. For example, one recent case with the FCC and net neutrality, that was backed by a lot of large companies, and it still didn't go through. Because why? I mean, we in the U.S., we know what's important to society when it comes to the internet. And we may be wrong in the future, but right now we get what we need. So that's good. The government response. The government should remain vigilant in watching what the EU is trying to attempt to perform against Google. And like, in some extreme cases, it's seen as manipulating our economy if they try to force the .com filtering. So that's not great. And we really need to be vigilant and like go over and give them a little prod on the back if they're trying to infringe on our privacy. They can mess with whatever they want until it becomes inhumane, but right now it's not a huge problem to us, and that's how it should stay. U.S. companies, this is not good for U.S. companies. They should fight against it. It costs Google a lot of money, and once you censor something, then other companies will have to censor things, and it's just bad for business. Who wants to use a company that is censored results? Doesn't make any sense. And like, this law really is only good for like public figures that are looking to whitewash their record, maybe celebrities or politicians. The common man, like, to be honest, it really doesn't affect him very much except his sense of privacy. And for companies, it's like, well, it's just a big deal. If they make any problems, it's such a big deal that they can't whitewash from the record anyways. So it's good for these high-profile public figures. So that's just not fair. And how about the world's response? Well, the world should be afraid. All right, censorship is bad. It degrades society, and the internet is really one of the greatest insurers of global equality that we have. Look at Tiananmen Square, shared on the internet. Now everybody knows. Videos from the front lines of armed conflicts, from the squares in Egypt and Syria, where protesters are protesting these violent crimes, from the back streets of Uganda, where people are getting caned for being gay, things like that. That goes up in the internet, goes up on Twitter, and becomes viral, and that is good for the world. It ensures global equality. People see that something's not right in another country, and they expect that kind of equality and freedom in their own country. It's great. It's excellent. I love it. Censoring that kind of content would be a huge disservice for mankind. We'd move backwards, even. And that is something that I just can't accept. Thank you for watching my presentation. Have a great day.